what this is all about and what some of the data looks like. And then we'll talk a little bit about the API that's behind it and show some of the other things that have been built around that API so you can sort of get the broader sense of, of the full potential of this platform. But to start off with, let's just check out this app. So it's got this demo app here at api.democracymap.org/demo. One of the first things you should see when you come here will be asking if you want to share your location and use that as input. So you might be more familiar with that kind of interface if you were to load this up on a smartphone like an iPhone, and it'll ask for your location. It's essentially sharing your GPS location and using that to search for everything you're going to be searching for. So let's go ahead and just share that. Works just the same way here in a desktop browser. So it's entering my latitude and longitude. I'm here in Washington, D.C. And here are the results. So here it's showing that I am in City Council Ward 2, and my council member is Jack Evans. So I got all his contact details there. And then if we move up to the next level, I am in the city of Washington, D.C., of course. And there's the mayor, Vince Gray, his contact details. And then all these other council members are at-large council members. So instead of having a specific ward that they represent the whole city at large. So they definitely represent me as well. So I am seeing all of them there under the city. And then here in DC, the next level we've got is our one representative in the House of Representatives, which is Eleanor Norton. And so those are her contact details and Twitter feed. But you've got links to Facebook and YouTube and everything else for her. And then beyond that, we've got these familiar faces, our president and vice president, and all their contact details. So this might not look quite like you would expect many other places in the country to look in terms of the different levels of government. But Washington, D.C. is a little unique. But we can go ahead and put in another address just to see what other places look like. So maybe let's try an address in New York City. So this is an address in the West Village in Manhattan. And in New York, hit enter. And in New York, we actually have some pretty good hyperlocal coverage. So here we've got all the way down to the community board level. And here, this is in Manhattan's community board 2. And so we've got the contact details for the chair. And there's the district manager. And then next up, we've got the city council level. So this is District 3. And it's represented by Councilmember Christine Quinn. So there's all her contact details and Twitter feed. And then you can see where this is going. We've got, Mike Bloomberg as the mayor and contact details for him. And then we've got our state level representatives, the state legislators. So the state assembly, which is District 66, and then the state senate. And then the state level, our governor and Twitter feed, contact details there. And then we've got our national legislators, starting with the House of Representatives. This is District 10. And then, of course, the two senators for the state here in New York, or over there in New York. And then again, these familiar faces. So that's maybe a little bit more comprehensive view, more representative of the multi-layered democracy that exists in many places. And let's go ahead and try another address. How about we've got one on the West Coast here in Sacramento, California. Let's try that. Enter. Have that load up. And so again, we've got our mayor and council members for the city, and then we have the county. So Sacramento County and all the officials for the county, and then state legislators, and the state level, governor, and then national legislators, the House of Reps, and the Senate again. All right. Just to show that this is not, just one or two places. Maybe just one more. We've got an address in Amarillo, Texas. What do we got? We've got the mayor, we've got some city commissioners, and again, we have county level folks, and then you got there's a lot of county folks. And then your state legislators, your state level, the governor, congressmen, etc. You can also just plop in just a city here. So just try the city of Chicago. So what that's going to do is it's going to basically take the center point of Chicago and figure out what kind of details it can identify for that point. But the expected things are all here: city level, county level, state legislator level. There's a lot of very crude but beginnings of some documentation behind this, and the API is very limited. It's very just simple. There's one call. So here it is, making a direct call for something like we just typed in there, just typing in Chicago as the location. And so this is the JSON output. We could also get XML or other formats if we wanted. But this is what it looks like. You've got basically everything is organized by jurisdiction, and then within that, within each jurisdiction, you've got elected officials, and all that data that you saw. Some places have more data, some places have less. But I think you got the gist of it. So that's what the API, sort of direct raw API output looks like. And so this API has been used to create similar interfaces in other places. There's also just like direct embedding of some of this interface. So here is the Gotham Gazette, which is a news publication in New York City, which has embedded this interface. So let's see if we just typed in that address there. It should give you just what you would expect. So this is an example of embedding that interface. In this case, it's actually just using an iframe. It's not even using any, of the more sophisticated things you can do interacting directly with the API. But you can see what that looks like, just integrated in that familiar interface of the local news website. Here's another view of the same data. So this is part of the My USA platform, and this is just a really nicely styled version of that data. Another really, I think, interesting thing about this example here is it really takes advantage of doing responsive mobile design. So, if we resize this to a screen size that's more familiar, so more like what you would see in a tablet or on a smartphone, everything still looks really good. So, we're basically making the same API calls here in each of these interfaces, but you can just see that, with direct access to that data in the API, you can really sort of style it and sort of customize the interfaces that you're providing, and everything like that. So, what else do we have here? All right, so here's an earlier version of this app. This is not built on the same platform that the current version is using. It's sort of the earliest incarnation of it. And here you actually see maps. The name of this whole platform is DemocracyMap, but you aren't seeing any maps before. And I just kind of wanted to show this because definitely part of the roadmap here is to be able to show those jurisdiction boundaries for each of these locations. So we don't have all that capability sort of built into the API version of the platform, the current version of it, but is definitely part of the DNA and part of the approach that we're going for here. So soon the API will be providing all this jurisdiction boundary sort of data, so you can view it on a map as well. It definitely is querying those shapes whenever you're making a search to make sure it knows which jurisdiction boundaries you're in. It's just not set up to output the shape files themselves. And we've got a lot of data behind this. So every time you're making an API call, it's really pulling from a wide range of data sources, everything from the Sunlight Congress API and the Open States API for your state and national legislators, to a bunch of data that's been sourced from the census, and some other sort of third-party APIs here and there. But a huge portion, pretty much all of the really local data at the state, county, city level, is scraped data that's now being sort of hosted on ScraperWiki, and then we integrate from there into the comprehensive aggregate API. So I just want to show you here. This is some of the scrapers that have been built, and if you go back to the API page, you can see we've got some documentation on how, sort of how people are contributing to that and sort of how that whole process works out. But um, it's a work in progress, but we already have over 100,000 local officials in the system, and I think just walking you through this hopefully should have given you a good sort of sense of what's there already, and more importantly, what's possible. If we can build out a platform like this that really has true, complete national coverage. I guess it's fair to say that maybe I was cherry picking a couple of those states that I was showing early in the demo. Right now, there's about 5 or 6 states that have pretty solid coverage from the scrapers we've provided, and there's another 5 or 10 more states on the way. But really, it's going to take a concerted effort to get full coverage. So that's what we're working towards. But I hope you got the vision, and hope you stay in the loop. Check out democracymap.org for links to the mailing list, and there'll be more blog posts that showcase sort of where things are at. And yeah, test out the demo, api.democracymap.org/demo, or just look out for links on democracymap.org. We should have a Twitter account set up and everything. So hope you join us. Thanks for your time.